Hey everyone, this is Gabrielle Johnson with Best Life Dog Services, and I am here for the first episode of our Instagram TV series, Behavior Bites. And my guest today is none other than Josh Rickey. Hi, Josh.
Hi.
I am super excited to have you here. So, if you don't already know, Josh is an amazing fixture in the dog community around Richmond. He has been walking dogs since he was 12 years old. And after 11 years in the local RVA restaurant industry, and then a few more years as a claims adjuster, you created Canine Adventure, which has been around since 2008, so like 13 years, and has a reputation as one of the biggest and best, highest quality dog walking and pet sitting services in the local area and beyond, right? So also in Ann Arbor, Michigan, right? Yeah, so you're also the founder of 13 Plants, which is an awesome local business that everyone should check out as well. And Josh has served on the Richmond Animal League board since 2016 and put in a ton of volunteer time with the local chapter of the Coalition to Unchain Dogs, as well as volunteer time walking all the dogs of Richmond everywhere, basically, and then having your handlers do the same. But so you've personally volunteered with RACC and Ring Dog Rescue, Richmond Boxer Rescue, Adrati. Wait, which one?
Right.
Yeah, Odessa Rescue, and more, right? It's kind of like an endless list of the dogs that you've touched, and now you have this amazing company that has just like this ripple effect. So it's probably very few dogs in Richmond that haven't in some way been touched by you, Josh Rickey. So tell me how it all started. How did you go from claims adjusting and working in insurance to Canine Adventure?
Well, after spending some time in the restaurant industry and getting into my late 20s, making $9 an hour, I began to realize that I needed to move forward with my professional life. And so I moved into insurance because it was a really good deal financially.
Sure.
Insurance is great, that sort of thing, and benefits and all that. And quickly learned that it was not my jam. I was good at it, but I was not happy. Fortunately, when you're working with people who are on the other side of a claim, an insurance claim, they're generally in a pretty bad spot. And so
Sounds stressful. Yeah.
there's a lot of negativity, and it was not working for me. So
Yeah.
30th birthday, I quit. Almost
Happy birthday to you.
cry, poor Rob. But I started Canine Adventure. I had met with a client or two to do some pet sitting before that because I just wanted to do it. And I officially started Canine Adventure in October, November of 2008. I had so what led me to Canine Adventure and the idea of it was that I had been on a rock climbing trip out to West Virginia and had a really good day on the rocks and was celebrating that really good day in town by the guide shop over a couple of barley sodas with friends. And they introduced me to a dog that had been chained to a tree there, an old plot hound. And he had been just basically left there with a blanket and a water bowl. And they had been feeding him pizza crusts from the restaurant upstairs. Out with him a little bit, but he was loud and he smelled bad. And he was just generally, they were not happy with him. So somehow they talked me into adopting this dog. And a friend of mine actually drove him home to me in Richmond. I lived in Carver at the time, just behind the Staples Center. And I remember her showing up at like 10 p.m. on Sunday after a long weekend of climbing with a hound dog in the city. And he was loud. He was just a handful. I started working with him because I needed to, because he was destroying my house. Playing all day while I was at work. One day he broke the window. He had just terrible separation anxiety and lots of energy. And I think he was just really confused. And so I started taking him on hikes. I started taking him River, down to Texas Beach, down to Reedy Creek, and I would attempt to go climbing with my friends down at Manchester Wall on like a Tuesday night, and I'd bring the dog. And next thing I know, I'd be chasing the dog through Forest Hill Park on a 6-mile adventure, as opposed to climbing. Just trying to keep up with a hound dog is an exhausting experience, uplifting and fun. I started taking a couple of friends' dogs out with Marshall.
Nice.
They started egging me on and saying, you should do this for a living. You're really good at this. And ultimately, Marshall kind of showed me the way to Canine Adventure, and our flagship service and adventure walk was a staple in his life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, you mentioned, chasing Marshall through the park, following after and just kind of, meeting that need. It sounds like, that he really had. You mentioned him kind of going from one environment to another and that trouble adjusting. So, when you're out walking with a dog, right, I imagine you have some thoughts on what that walk should really be about. So when you take a dog out for a walk, what are your goals?
Well, my first goal is for it to be a safe experience. It has to be a safe experience above all. My times claims adjusting, I dealt with a handful of dog bites and that sort of thing, and we like to avoid that sort of thing when
Sure.
So it's got to be a safe experience. It's got to be a fun experience the dog is into. And what does that mean? An adventure walk is a very natural fit for a dog because we're out in the wilderness, we're on a trail. There's usually some water and some rocks and some things to sniff. And generally it's just a really enriching and fun environment. So it's important that the walk be fun and enriching, but then really it's quality time. And quality time is so important for your dog.
Yeah.
That quality time helps them understand and be understood. Them gain confidence because they are understood, because they know, they can look at you and know things are going great, or they look at you for a little bit of guidance and direction, that sort of thing. And when they get it right, they feel good and they feel confident and they feel proud. And a confident dog is a happy dog.
Yeah.
And so it's really important, I feel like, to take that time and be present with your dog, to connect with them. And if you can really connect on that walk, and that's what I seek to do with all the dogs that I've walked over the years, that's going to give them that quality time that they really need. It's something that we don't think about when we get a dog a lot of times, is that this species has evolved next to us for tens of thousands of years. And yeah, we don't speak the same language, but they very much seek to understand our language. And we do an okay job of meeting them a little less than halfway.
Sometimes a lot less.
Sometimes a lot less, for sure. But if you can achieve that connection by doing things together, the understanding of like playing fetch with your dog. I remember years and years and years ago, and this was a different time, but I had the family dog Clarabelle. She was a Polish lowland sheepdog. And I remember piling her into the car, and we went to the local park where there was a giant field, and we played fetch. And she didn't have a collar on. There wasn't a leash in sight. And I was never concerned that I was going to lose this dog or lose control of her, or that she was going to run away or anything, because she was so into doing something with me that it never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
These days I would have all sorts of anxiety around totally not be okay to do that, but it kind of illustrates the importance of that connection.
Right. Well, and understanding, what our dog needs. I think you're touching on so many important topics in terms of, species specific needs and social connection and really thinking about what does the dog in front of you need and what can you get out of this walk? How can you allow it to grow your relationship and connect better? And I imagine that is, and I know just from, talking to so many people initially, when they come to me and they're facing some kind of miscommunication with their dog, or they do understand what's happening, but they're just not sure how to help their dog. uh, and so, you know, it's often not the first thing that we consider to say, you know, to ask, what does my dog need out of this walk, right?
Mhm.
Or what does my dog need out of our time together? So what would you tell someone who finds that they have to make changes to their life or their routine or their expectations around the dog in front of them?
I think it's important that we be malleable with
Mm.
to what we expect from our dogs. That we embrace the change, that we embrace the idea that our dog will oftentimes show us the way. Um, Marshall did that in so many years, and I've explored parts of the park that I never would have set foot in. I lost weight and I was in shape and I was busy and happy because I followed the dog. Um,
When you started an entire company that 13 years later is still having a massive impact on dogs everywhere because of
well,
Marshall, really, right?
there's that too, but it was really a matter of listening to what were his needs and how could I best meet those needs. And what's really neat is as you start getting into quality time doing stuff with your dog, and it doesn't always have to be a walk, you know, fetch or a hike or some training and some practicing tricks and that sort of thing. That can all be quality time. But as you start doing that more and more, I feel like it guides you toward living a better life. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I feel like dog people are better people because the dog makes them be a better person. For me personally, I get up in the morning every morning early because I got to feed the dog. And I, you know, go hiking a couple times a week oftentimes because the dog needs to go hiking or else he's going to lose it. You know, I carry myself differently around the house and that sort of thing because
Sure.
I know how important my body language is to how my dog feels.
Yeah.
It's important to let the dog guide the process though.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's often something that we forget about entirely. And really it should be the main focus, right, of that relationship. And if we're doing it well, it should impact us and, like you said, make us better people.
That's the
I
idea.
love that. I love that. So, all right, we could probably continue to talk about this forever, but in the interest of trying to fit it into the Instagram TV window, tell me what you're up to these days, where people can find you, and leave us with a call to action, something that we can do.
Well, if you want to see more of me, which I can't imagine you would, but you can check me out on Instagram. It's 13 plants 804, the number 13 plants 804. I do a little 1 minute in the garden, 1 minute in the greenhouse segment there. That's lots of fun. But my call to action to you is to take 5 minutes today and tomorrow and the next day and spend quality time with your dog doing something you enjoy. Fetch, hiking, going for a walk, cuddling on the couch, just really connecting and see how your relationship with your dog grows from there.
I love that. I love that. A fantastic call to action. Well, Josh, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I really, really appreciate you taking the time, and I will talk with you soon.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.